Deep in the heart of the Frostvale Mountains, where the winds howled like lost spirits and the snow-covered peaks stretched endlessly into the sky, lived a fairy named Amara. Unlike the delicate, gentle fairies of her homeland, Amara was different. She had a spirit as wild as the storms that raged through the valleys, a heart that longed for adventure, and a mind that refused to be tamed by the traditions of her kind. Legends spoke of an ancient beast, a saber-toothed tiger frozen in ice, hidden somewhere within the mountains. Most fairies dismissed it as mere myth, but Amara was drawn to the tale like a moth to a flame. One day, she set out on a journey, her wings shimmering in the pale winter sun, her heart pounding with excitement. For days, she braved the brutal cold, flying through blizzards and navigating treacherous cliffs. Finally, in a secluded glacial cavern, she found it, a massive block of ice, taller than a castle, with a colossal beast trapped inside. The tiger's enormous fangs glistened like polished ivory, its golden fur covered in frost, and its eyes, though frozen, held a haunting wisdom that sent a shiver down Amara's spine. Her fingers trembled as she reached out, sensing an ancient magic wrapped around the ice. This was no ordinary prison. Someone had cursed this creature, trapping it in a frozen tomb for an eternity. Amara's heart clenched. No being deserved such a fate. Without hesitation, she summoned her magic, letting her golden light seep into the ice, melting it slowly. The cavern filled with a soft glow as the beast's prison began to crack. With a final surge of energy, the ice shattered. The tiger collapsed onto the icy ground, gasping for breath, its massive chest rising and falling. Then, to Amara's utter shock, the beast opened its mouth, not to roar, but to speak. "You have freed me," it rumbled, its voice deep and wise, carrying the weight of centuries. Amara staggered back. "You can talk." The beast's piercing golden eyes locked onto hers. "I was not always a beast." As the winds howled outside the cavern, the tiger stood to its full height, shaking off the last remnants of frost. Its gaze held an ancient sorrow. Amara, still astonished, watched in awe. "My name is Zephyr," the beast said, lowering his head. "Once, I was a sage, a guardian of knowledge, a scholar of the stars, a protector of the ancient realms. But envy and treachery sealed my fate." Amara's wings fluttered with unease. "Who did this to you?" Zephyr's eyes darkened. "A warlock named Malagar. He sought the wisdom I possessed, but when I refused to give it to him, he cursed me into this form, trapping me in ice so that time would forget me." Amara clenched her fists. "That's monstrous. You didn't deserve this." A deep rumble escaped Zephyr's throat, neither a growl nor a sigh, but something in between. "It is the way of power-hungry men. I spent centuries dreaming of freedom, but now that I am awake, I do not know where I belong." Amara's heart ached for him. She had always felt like an outsider among fairies, and now, standing before a once great being stripped of his true self, she saw her own loneliness reflected in his eyes. "You belong with me," she said. "We'll find a way to break your curse." Zephyr studied her for a long moment, then gave a solemn nod. "Then let us journey together." And so, an unlikely pair, a fierce fairy and a cursed saber-toothed tiger, set forth on a quest across the land. Their journey took them through enchanted forests, across rivers that shimmered with magic, and over mountains where ancient spirits whispered in the wind. Amara and Zephyr faced many trials: rogue sorcerers, treacherous terrain, and creatures that lurked in the shadows. One night, as they rested beneath a sky full of stars, Zephyr spoke. "Do you ever wonder why you helped me?" Amara looked at him, confused. "Because it was the right thing to do." He chuckled, a deep, rolling sound. "Perhaps, but I think it is because you, too, feel trapped, just in a different way." She stiffened. "That's not true." Zephyr simply stared at her, the weight of his ancient knowledge pressing against her defenses. "Your wings, your magic, your heart, they seek more than what your kind offers. That is why you and I are the same." Amara didn't answer, because deep down, she knew he was right. After months of travel, they found the truth: Malagar still lived, and he had grown even more powerful. If Zephyr wanted to reclaim his true form, they would have to face the warlock himself. The battle was brutal. Malagar, a towering figure cloaked in darkness, unleashed storms of fire and shadow. Amara fought with everything she had, her magic clashing against his. Zephyr roared, charging through the flames, his massive paws shaking the ground. But Malagar was clever. He saw the bond between them. He smirked and whispered, "You love the beast, don't you?" Amara froze. "I." Malagar grinned. "Then you shall watch him die." With a flick of his wrist, a spear of darkness shot toward Zephyrn's heart. Time slowed. Amara screamed, racing toward Zephyrn, her wings propelling her faster than ever before. She threw herself in front of the spear, her magic forming a shield. The impact sent a shockwave through the battlefield. For a moment, there was silence. Then, Zephyrn let out an earth-shattering roar. The curse shattered. A golden light engulfed the tiger, lifting him into the air. His form twisted and shifted, the beastly features melting away. When the light faded, a man stood in his place, tall, strong, his eyes still golden but now filled with renewed life. Zephyrn had returned. Amara's breath caught. He was no longer just the beast she had traveled with. He was a man, the wise sage she had only heard in his words. "You saved me," Zephyrn murmured. Amara smiled, though tears welled in her eyes. "Of course I did." He stepped closer. "Then let me do the same for you." As he reached out, a surge of warmth filled her chest. The emptiness she had felt for so long was gone. She had found where she belonged, not in the fairy kingdom, not in the wilderness, but with him. Together, they left the battlefield, hand in hand, as the dawn painted the sky in hues of gold and rose. And so, the fairy and the once cursed sage walked into legend, proving that love, courage, and kindness could break even the cruelest of curses.